1 month ago, I spent 7 days participating in a very serious game jam, and it didn't quite go as well as I'd hoped. So I thought it'd be a fun time to put together a video just showing, the chaos and what happens when you don't scope out your project so well. The game is now available for free on itch.io as Heroes Transformation, link in the description below. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the chaos.
The theme for the very serious Juniper Dev Game Jam is spinning is movement.
No.
It's a mechanic, but spinning could also be randomness and gambling. Maybe the player in your game spins, the environment spins, something spins, anything spins. Good luck.
I'm gonna need it, man. Spin to win. Enemy.
You thought that I wasn't coming back.
Welcome back. So, good news. I have a gameplay style for the wheel.
Nice.
Bad news. I'm really attached to the idea, but it might require some work. It's a Common Writer game.
Yeah, nice.
Each item on the wheel is a different form that you transform into, and it's on a battery. So when the battery reaches 0, you're kicked out of that form.
Not a bad idea.
It has potential. So for the base combat mechanics, I came up with light attacks that allow you to do combos, heavy attacks that end those combos, and your special button that does an AoE but drains your battery.
Okay.
Does that sound solid? Nothing crazy?
How many forms is this?
I'm targeting 3.
Okay. So it's not a roulette
Uh,
gambling thing. It's a spinner where you just get a random
form. Yeah.
Okay, is it feasible to model all of this?
Yes. I'd have to use a very simple style, but yes, it's feasible. The real question is it feasible to animate all this? That's the real question. I have 2 solutions in mind. I have a motion capture suit in my room with me. It requires VR. But I can definitely hook that up and record some combo strings. So today we're going to work on designing the forms. We have the base form, which is just going to be our dude in human form. We have this Pegasus form. These names are just for me. They're not going to be the names of the forms in the game. But we have Pegasus form, which is all about using projectiles. We have Titan form, which is slow and heavy, and then Mighty form, which is balanced. Anyway, let's just do some concept art for the character designs, and then we'll go from there. I promise I'll put more effort into the actual combat forms, okay? I just need something to start with. There's our guy. I need to give him a weapon, though. Alright, that's the Pegasus form. Let's work on the Titan form. I think that's fine for now. Now we just need to give him a sword. I think that's kind of a good idea. Alright, now we need to do Mighty form. There we go. Alright, are these designs perfect? Nah, they're pretty basic. But they do give us something we can work with. So, let's start exporting this so I can use these as reference images. Let's start with modeling the base character. I think we should start with I guess we should start with the cube. Okay, so this is our base dude. Let's give him some accessories. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to export each element that is not tied to the base body. And then in Unreal, we'll just attach to bone or something like that. All right, that's our businessman. We did it! We did it! Oh my god. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go eat food. I'm gonna try and record some test motion capture stuff. And then tomorrow morning, when we boot this back up again, I will import the stuff over to Blender. We will get this guy rigged up, and then we'll start working on modeling the other suit designs, so that way we can spend basically the rest of the jam just working on programming his movesets and whatnot, and all that fun jazz. So I guess I should recap some things from yesterday, and talk about what I've done since then. So yesterday we did the character designs for our game. We modeled our businessman. He's done. I also did, after the stream yesterday, I did some motion capture work. So to do this, I have a VR headset and then a VR motion tracker suit that I put on, and then I took it into VR motion tracking software, and then I just did all the performances. So here's a list of the animations that I did for each of the combat forms at least. There's an idle animation for each one. All of them are unique. Light combo, heavy... I should probably do heavy attack, because the heavies are a singular thing. I did a parry. I added special attack animations. I did running. The hit and knockdown. Oh my god, those were exhausting. Getting off the floor sucks. And then I did a very basic dodge for all of them as well. I don't know if we'll be doing rigging today, but all the animations are done. I bought a performance mat last year, so that way when I eventually did do motion capture, it wouldn't hurt when I lay on the floor. I forgot to put that out before I did any of this. I only remembered once I took my VR headset off, and I was like, wow, I'm the idiot. But yeah, the animation work is done. Once I apply the rig to the model and put it in Unreal, Unreal will automatically link the animations, the other animations, to the model. So we'll probably do that later today, but for now, I'm just going to work on realizing our character designs that we got yesterday. So today, I hope to get the armor for the Mighty design, the Pegasus design, and the Titan design. Anyway, let's start with probably the Mighty form helmet, since it has a lot of elements that are going to be similar to the other helmet designs. And how we do that will affect how we do everything else. Alright, you know what? I think that's going to be okay. Okay, that looks like the helmet is done. Okay, since we got the Mighty helmet done, we can just do some small tweaks to get the Pegasus helmet to the same state. Same thing for Titan. Cool, that's the helmet. Alright, one more helmet. Okay. Modifiers are applied. Texture and materials are on. Let's go ahead and export this. So what are we working on next? We need to work on the chest plate. Who has the most basic chest plate? Oh yeah, he does for sure. And then Titan is gonna need both shoulder pads. Okay, we'll do the mighty breastplate for now. And then once that's done, we can use that as the base model for the other armor pieces like we did with the helmet here. Alright, we got 3 helmets done and 1 torso piece done in 3 hours. Or less than 3 hours, really. So to recap yesterday's progress, yesterday we successfully modeled all of the characters and suit designs. I got screenshots I posted on Twitter, but I'll pull them up here. So here's our base form gentleman here. There's our mighty form, Pegasus form, and our Titan form. Something I didn't show, and unfortunately I don't have screenshots of it, so bear with me. So here's the Pegasus gun. Like I mentioned during the design phase, it's modeled after the M9 Beretta. Yeah, it kind of looks like a toothpick because I used the subdivision modifier and just kind of let it be loosey-goosey instead of it being hyper blocky. Probably could have done some of the tweaking myself instead of letting Blender do it automatically, but hey, it's a sword and it's gonna cut people, so that's okay. Yesterday I put out a stunt mat after the Father's Day event, so that way when I threw myself it hurt less. That was a great idea. I don't know why I didn't do that the first time. But anyway, we should try and finish the weight painting here, so that way we can actually start making the actual video game instead of making some fancy stuff, because the deadline is coming up. Oh my god, it just works. Oh my god, it just works. Oh my god, thank you. That's gonna have to do it. I am so tired. We did the UVMFs. We're rigged. Everything's working nicely. I think it's time to try to move this stuff to Unreal. Okay, got all the Titan animations. Got all the Pegasus animations. Got all the Mighty animations. And got all the base form animations. After work today, I try to get some things set up in Unreal so that way we don't get stuck for too long. For one, I made our player character blueprint. I made an enumeration for all the forms that we'll be working with, so here is that. I made a game mode. It literally does nothing except hold all the information. Made an action controller. Again, does nothing at this moment. We'll probably enhance that later. And then I also created this hero animation blueprint, which will control our combo animations and what animations play, depending on what form we are currently in. Because this was a blank project, I had to go in and add really basic stuff. So, for example, in the action mappings, there's all the nuanced stuff that we're working with, light attacks, heavy attacks, dodges, specials, parries, form shifting, all that. That's all there now. But I had to also add things like move forward, move backward, move right, move left, look up, look down. Here is what that looks like. Unreal Engine aficionados are going to look at this and go, this looks like the default character setup. And yep, it is. Mega cool as all this really sounds. This is all I have in the scene that's playable. And also the animation's borked. I don't know how I'm going to fix that, or if I'm gonna, but it's borked. Anyway, I'm going to continue doing what I was doing before the stream, which was we need to make animation, what's called animation montages in Unreal. So what I did in the montage 1 file is I added 2 notifies here. So combo hit increases the combo count, and there's another notify at the end here called combo reset. And what this does is it resets your combo counter to 0. Why is that important, you might be wondering? Well, if we go back to our character, right here is our light attack input. And when we press it, Unreal asks, well, what's your current combo count? If it's at 0, it'll play the first light attack. But if you've already done that and your combo is 1, it'll let you do light attack 2. So it'll look kind of like 1, 2. It's a little jank, but it gets the job done. But if you let the animation play for too long, your combo will get reset, and that'll set it back to 0 there. Boom. 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, now it just works. I'm okay with that. Cool. So now we have the light and heavy animations going at least. So let's set up the transformation stuff. So I have this event called Henshin. I'm going to tie it to a widget, but once the wheel spins and it lands on a certain form, it tells the player character what that new form is. And then based on that new form, so switch on Henshin enumeration, we will set the animation appropriately. So we need to set this as a variable real quick. And now what we can do is set these up so that way we have something different each time. So let's set this up by just... Okay, so we need to do some tweaking in our animation state machine. We need a way to test this. So let's take that B key I was using earlier since it's not doing damage. The first time we press it, we'll change to mighty form, and the second time we press it, we will change to base form. Hey, he's a little not right, but hey. Well, since we're already in the animation blueprint, let's get the other state machines in here. Oh, I feel so old. Doing all that took forever. But now we can test if it was worth it. In theory. So we're in base form, we're in mighty form, we're in Pegasus form, we're in Titan form. We know that's working now. Now we need to actually make our combo animations for each form and assign them to the Henshin function. I was talking to a couple of my friends last night after the stream. So they're like, oh, you know, how's the game jam going? And I'm like, well, I learned a lot. And they're like, oh, that's good. You know, what did you learn? I'm like, oh, mocap animations, how to import them into Engine. And they're like, oh, that's great. And I go, yeah, I haven't coded anything. Like I showed them the concept arts. I showed them the models. I showed them one of the mocap animations, and I'm like, yeah, I haven't coded anything. I go, what do you mean you haven't coded anything? And I said, I haven't touched Unreal Engine. And they were like, it's halfway through the jam, isn't it? And I go, uh-huh. They were like, you gonna be okay? I'm like, no, I bit off more than I could chew. They were like, oh, good luck. I tried to make the jump back seem like kind of cool, but honestly, I had such little space in my room to do that animation that I was scared. So, no cool leap back. And we'll just test that real quick. Mighty, Pegasus, bang, 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 bang. Nice. 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 What did I bind dodge to on mouse and keyboard? Spacebar? Oh yeah, that would make sense, huh? That's such a terrible animation, but it's my animation, so we'll live with it. It's okay, with enough training and dedication, Hollywood would totally scout me for a stunt actor. And now we can test all of these forms together! Yay! Finally! Yep. 1, 2, 3. Heavy. Parry. Dash. And then we can change to mighty form. 1, 2, 3. Heavy. Parry. Special. Dodge. Henshin one more time. Pegasus. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Parry. Special. Dodge. And then Titan. 1, 2, 3. Heavy. Dodge. Special. And parry. We did it! That was so much work. And none of it is even like gonna actually function when we put enemies in. We have to put hitboxes and everything still. And we need to make the different forms appear. So if we take a look at this animation here, you'll notice that it doesn't start centered. And what's worse is that the direction it's moving is not centered either. Ideally, we want the animation to start at the center of the map, face the direction of this yellow or greenish line here, and remain in place so that way we can make our animation montages out of them for clean combos. Luckily, I did some research through some Blender forums, and this is actually a pretty easy fix. So you just take your skeleton into pose mode, grab this little root bone, and you'll see when you click on that, a little tab called Bone Constraints pops up. For our purposes, the only constraint we're worried about is limit location. And this lets you determine, what are the minimum and maximum coordinates the animation can deviate from, using this bone as a reference for coordinates. So first thing we want to do is make sure the minimum X and minimum Y are checked off, as well as the maximum versions. So now if we play this animation from the start, you'll see that even though the animation is moving like it has been, it's not moving away from the coordinates we established, which is 0, 0. The next thing I did to make sure this faces the right direction was I literally just picked a pose that represented, where forward was. So I would take a top-down view to the skeleton here, and I would just line it up with where I believed forward was. Do that for every animation, and you basically got the new updated animations. So let me demonstrate that real quick. So now, these animations don't jump out. Well, except for there's a couple that still swing out. I just haven't gotten to them. The other thing I did before the stream was I started adding sockets to the skeleton of the player, so that way I can start assigning the armor pieces that will spawn when they transform. So you can kind of see it through here. This is really controlled by two things. If we go to our construction script, this runs every frame, and basically it just says, this static mesh needs to be attached to our skeleton and it will do so at this socket name. And you can see the result of that here. Even when our character is moving, all of it comes together. Now, as for which armor pieces are visible at any given point in time, I basically added a node at the end of our henshin sequence that calls on a new event. And it does the same thing as the first one, what's the current form? And then switches based on that. And it decides what undersuit the player character will be wearing, and then what armor pieces are visible, and if they are visible, what are they? So just to demonstrate that, base form, the hair is visible and he's wearing his businessman suit. Mighty form, he's got red undersuit and he's got gauntlets, knuckles, chest piece, and helmet. Pegasus form, he's got his knuckles, torso, headpiece, left shoulder pad, and green undersuit. And then Titan form, he's got his torso, both shoulder pads, both gauntlets, both knuckles, helmet, and purple undersuit. I need to add the shin guards and the thigh guards for the Titan armor, as well as a socket for the sword Pegasus armor. I think I'm done. Just need to set when the gun is visible. Mighty armor, there's some shin guards to do, and then we're basically done. God, I can't believe it took us this long. And then again, this idea was a little too ambitious for a 7-day game jam. If this was like a typical 14-day game jam, it probably would have been fine, but unfortunately, that is not the jam we signed up for. Cool. Let's get the wheel going. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that outside of doing it in a widget. So I guess that's going to be our first point of reference on how we're going to do this kind of stuff. I gotta think. I want to make a spinner in Unreal Engine's widget system. What if that's my issue? Hear me out. What if we don't need the spinner to spin in the widget, we need it to spin in an actor that comes with a collision? I might sound crazy right now. Let me cook. I might have something here. Let's use a cube. And we'll just make it 0.1 thick. Duplicate it. Scene component. Here we go. We'll call this the wheel. Make that the children. And then we need a... Let's just use another cube. And we'll call this the arrow. We'll just throw this in the level, just so we can see it. And then to help us see what we're working with here, let's get some point lights added. We'll add one to base form and make it blue. Make that one red. Make this light green. And then finally, one more light. We'll make this purple. Cool. Now we can see that, right? Yep, we can see that. That's beautiful. Make a custom event. We'll call it mention. Like, let's see. Red is currently on the far corner. Red is now in the bottom corner. Anyway, we press the transformation key, and it triggers this event called henshin. In which case, the wheel will spin. And when the wheel stops spinning, it's going to ask the arrow component, are you overlapping any components? And if so, what are their tags? And are there tags in your array? If so, which index in the array is it under? Then, once that's done, it'll cast that information to the player character and say, all right, transform, which triggers this event up here, which will change all the animations that the player will be using, and then changing the appearance of the character. So let's give this a spin, if you will. Pegasus, okay. Mighty, okay. Hey, Titan form. There we go. Wow, it's actually working. This is so cool. This is so cool. Let's just make a simple enemy real quick. Okay, and then just real quick, just to make sure we're testing this correctly. Event, any damage. And what we'll do is we'll print string, and the string will just print how much damage he's taking. There we go. Cool. So that way when we hit the enemy, he's knocked backwards. Cool. And then we need to do the same with our character, so that way our character is moving forward as they launch their attacks. I feel like we move a little too far forward. Yeah, it feels a little bit too far. Well, we can fine-tune it later. We need to set up functionality for literally everything first, I guess, huh? That's 10 damage, so that's correct. That's 5 damage, so that's correct. And that's 2 damage. Nice. I'm so happy we got this all working. Welcome to the second to last day of the game jam. I did do some work before the stream. Essentially, I did some more motion capture work for the enemy, one more animation for the player character, and then I did some animations in case we can add a boss later, which, but we'll see. Let's start by getting all the enemy animations in here, because that's going to be a majority of the work. Also the models. There's a lot of models to import. Look at that. It's our armored boy. It's kind of fun to bully him. So now, be gone. Okay. I saw a video on how to add cinematic camera angles, and I kind of wanted to try it. So let's just test if that works. Cool, so it works. So what I was thinking about doing is I was going to move the wheel to waist level, so that way it can act kind of like a belt. Kind of a cool idea. I don't know how well that's going to work, but I wanted to give it a try anyway. Kind of works. Kind of works. The lights are a little bit bright, but we can change that later. There we go. Gives it a little bit of flair. Now we need to make an enemy manager and an enemy spawner. So what we're going to do is, I think we already have a game mode set up, so we can just kind of put it in there. Oh yeah, that's it. Cool. Cool, we now have a trigger volume. Yay! That means we can make levels and stuff. But we need an enemy spawner, so let's do that next. Okay, that fixed that much. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god! Okay. That got crazy very fast, but it seems to be working. Oh, hello?
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
How's the tippity tapping going?
We're making progress. I got blue screened by freaking how to program AI for a second there, but I figured it out. It kind of worked. Alright, we're running out of time, so I'm going to just implement one of my favorite tropes in superhero shows. There's a secret rule with superhero shows, Joe. Do you know what it is?
You cannot interrupt transformation sequences?
That's correct. You cannot interrupt transformation sequences. Let's implement that. It'll be a long stream tomorrow, but we will get this done. I think tomorrow we'll probably do some level design so we can at least have some combat arena set up. And then main menus, special effects. Yeah. Welcome to the final day of the very serious Juniper Dev Game Jam. There we go. There are 3 HUD elements here. On the left, you got your health. It's just a progress bar, you know. Tension charge. When it reaches 100%, you can transform. If it's less than 100%, it won't let you transform. It's very simple. It charges at 1 point per second. And then right here we have our batteries for each of the suit forms. Whatever form is not active will start charging the battery. I implemented that stuff about over the course of the last hour and a half. There's so much to do. There is so much to do and so little time. Work is never boring. Let me be clear. Work is never boring. There's always something going on. But when I was at like meetings or on my lunch breaks or whatever, I literally had a notebook open on my desk and I was drawing what I needed to do for the rest of this game jam. The HUD that I showed off a little bit ago, I drew that on a piece of paper. I also wrote notes on like what particle effects I want to use for all the different forms, what kind of impacts I want to have, etc., etc. I think I mentioned it in yesterday's stream, but before that started, I did mocap all the animations. I just didn't import them into Unreal or get his blueprint up and running. So I got his animations in. I took a bit of inspiration from Kamen Rider Amazons, which was an Amazon Japan original television series that got delisted, unfortunately. But the Alpha Amazon was what I based him off of. And not perfect, but considering how limited my experience is with mocapping, I'm kind of happy with it. Cool. Okay, anyway, what I wanted to do with boss trigger volume was add a cinematic moment, if you will. Neat. I like it. We'll stick with it. Okay, we got basic enemies. We got the boss. We have transformations. We have health. We have batteries. We need a level. Also a boss design. Let's do a boss design first. So I was talking to my buddy Joe last night after the stream ended, and he actually recommended that we use rhinoceros beetle horns for the boss. A very intimidating character, to be sure. Maybe we can enhance this by just... we can't do that. But we can probably get away with this. It's like a black slit in the middle. Nah. Nah. Well, it was worth a shot. Let's not get stuck on this too much. So we'll save this as the boss helmet. Alright, now let's do the same thing for everything else. Luckily, I don't plan on doing anything too crazy with these. Maybe adding a back spine would be cool. Actually, hold on. This will take like 3 seconds, I swear. It looks so lame, but I kind of love it. Alright, we'll roll with it. We'll roll with it. And then we don't have to export the model because it's using the same base skeleton. So now what we can do is we can jump back into Unreal and start getting all this set up. And I think because we used the same scaling and basically positions in Blender as we did when we made the enemy, in theory we should be able to just kind of change these models out and it'll work. So if we do Boss Knuckles, ta-da! Alright, let's see him in action. Honestly, not bad. Alright, we need to start designing our level. Kinda looks like you're fighting in a circus, in a way. Make sure all this is still working. Why did he do that?
So, how's it go?
Oh, Jesus! You were so loud.
Oh,
in
now
my ear.
how's it going?
It's certainly going. The boss is implemented. So that's cool.
Is it a stag beetle?
Yeah, a blue one, but a stag beetle nonetheless. Oh, there's a frame at the end of the animation. Okay. Well, at least that works. Okay, now, actually, specials. Like, actually, please. Okay, so special. There it is. We're gonna need room for this. We're just gonna hit the enemies really, really hard. Cool. And drain battery. That should expedite the detransformation. So let's test that. And if all that works, then we can do everything else very lickety-split. Oh, that's cool. That is actually kind of cool. Hold on, why was that cool? Okay, hold on. That was actually cool. Glad that worked. First try, even. We just got to do everything else the same way now. Titan form gets slow-mo. Because why not? He's slow anyway. Oh god, we're down to the last hour. Oh god, we're down to the last hour.
Want me to set a timer?
Yeah. And if you can give me a 30-minute warning.
Okay.
So, Pegasus is gonna throw 7 grenades, or 10 grenades. Okay, that's gonna have to be it, I think. I think that's gonna have to be it.
5 minutes.
Platforms. Oh my god, that's right. Windows. The shipping. Alright, we're just gonna use the name of the project, Memoir of Hero.
A singular minute remains.
Dude, there's no shot. I think I'm gonna miss the deadline.
Oh no.
Yep, there goes the deadline. Here, I'll open another tab on itch so I can navigate to the jam page. Submission is closed. Voting is now in progress. Let me put that on the screen for everyone at home. Unfortunately, we did not succeed this game jam. That's unfortunate, but not too surprising. This project was way too ambitious. I ran into too many technical issues, and I had no idea how to troubleshoot most of them, and I had poor planning. But I did learn a lot. I learned a lot this jam. I think the coolest thing I learned was getting my motion capture animations into this project. I think that was probably one of the coolest things that I could have learned for this project. And then cinematic camera angles, that was a lot easier to do than I expected, so that was also pretty cool. So, bummer we missed the competition, but honestly, I learned a lot, and that's why I do these jams. So,